You've probably seen this setup before. As drummers, we're always looking to professional players for inspiration on our setups. I'm gonna give you guys an interpretation of how his setup is done with Gibraltar stands. Then, I'm gonna show you how we would do it. So what makes this setup so unique is the height that he places his cymbals at. The cymbal stands are not boomed, they're straight, which creates really cool lines in the setup. His drums are placed flat. He incorporates a lot of electronics in with the acoustic drums, which create his own identity and create his sound. On the hi-hat side of the kit, we have the left main crash cymbal stand holding the rack tom and the 10-inch splash. For the hi-hat, he's using a 2-leg hi-hat stand. The SPD-S is mounted high to its own stand, and then off of the stand, we have the Roland BT1 and the side snare. So now let's talk about the floor tom side. The ride cymbal is using its own cymbal stand. The right main crash is on its own stand as well, but we're also holding the Roland BT1 right in between the bass drum and the floor tom. And then the effects cymbal in the back is also on its own cymbal stand, and it too is holding another Roland BT1 as well, positioned on the other side of the floor tom. Makes it super easy to play, very easy to get to. And this is how we would do it. This player's setup was so clean, I had to slam the crossbar all the way to the ground to achieve that clean look. So let's talk about the tom. We have a single tom holder mounted directly out of the front leg. The L arm was pointed down, like this particular player really likes. The left main crash, I needed it to be really clean and sleek, just like the stand setup uses. So I took the boom arm, put it inside a 36-inch straight bar, and connected it to the crossbar. And then directly off of the 36-inch bar, I mounted a little cymbal boom that holds this 10-inch splash. All right, so out of the back leg of the rack, I mounted the SPD-S, which made a whole lot of sense because it was just right immediately to the left of the drummer. Off of the down stem that's holding the SPD-S, I mounted the Roland BT1 with the electronic clamp with L-rod. But we couldn't leave out the side stand. That is extremely important. And to do that, I added a 24-inch curved ring directly to the back leg, and I used the single tom holder to place the side snare exactly where he needs it to be. Two of the most important components that we changed was the hi-hat and snare stand. We mounted the snare stand to the front leg of the rack using the Stealth bent bar connecting to a mini T-leg bass, completely legless. The benefits to doing this is that the snare will always be in the same place every single time, and it's not gonna jump around on you when you're hitting really hard. Just like the snare stand, we made the hi-hat legless. I connected it to the crossbar of the rack with an extension arm with a rotating grabber clamp, and it makes this thing rock solid. It goes back in the same place every single time and will not move on you. It runs away from me sometimes. So now let's talk about the floor tom side. Just like the hi-hat side, I slammed the crossbar to the floor to make this very low profile. The ride cymbal is mounted directly out of the front leg of the rack. The BT1 has its own straight bar with a boom arm placing the BT1 exactly where we need it between the floor tom and the bass drum. The effects cymbal, we just mounted right out of the back leg, and then we used the same solution to mount the BT1 on this side that we did on the SPD-S. So I based this whole setup off of two low-profile side racks. And you may be asking me, like, why would you use racks with such a simplistic setup? This drummer has 5 stands that have to be collapsed and put into a bag. Trying to get that set back up in the exact same spot is not easy. Racks will allow you to do that with ease. Remove the cymbal booms, put them in the bag, and then you can just take the side racks and move them off the stage. Plus, when you put them back on, everything is in the same place every single time. There are no tripods on the ground to compete with. It's all clean space, baby. So in the comments, let us know whose setup you think this is.